welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The popular All-Africa Music Awards, also known as AFRIMA, will finally be happening in Dakar, Senegal, from this Thursday, January the 12th, through Sunday the 15th. For a bit more insight into the event, we're now being joined by Olisa Adibua, Associate Producer and Executive in charge of adjudication for the upcoming event. What has gone into the planning, and from the Nigerian perspective, what's the level of artistic involvement? And just what more should we really expect from this Continental Showpiece event? Good morning, Olisa.
Good morning.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Everyone looking bright and cheerful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I know that you are Dakar bound.
Yes.
Right. But what happened? What happened? AFRIMA was meant to hold last November.
Yeah.
You know, it's AFRIMA 2022, but then we now have it. We're having it this month.
Yeah. Normally the calendar runs from May to November every year.
Okay.
We have a lot of activities that happen in different regions. We are partners with African Union.
Yeah.
And the African Union has split Africa into 5 regions. Okay. They have the North, the East, the South, the West, and Central Africa. So between May and November, we go to each region doing activations, skills acquisition, vocational training, plans, trying to basically galvanize the music industry in those areas. Mm-hmm. But the big the finale happens in November at a particular, city, host nation. So it was supposed to happen this November, but because of the World Cup, the Senegalese government asked us to push it back to January.
Okay.
Because they were preparing to go activities for the World Cup and everything. So we didn't make it, but Senegal made it, and so we
supported them. By the way,
we supported them. Yes, we supported, and Morocco made us very proud.
Yeah.
And Davido was there. Let's forget about you guys with your.
So we had Nigerians there, and then we had the performers. We had people like
Davido was there.
Kizane, Patoranking was there. So we were there in spirit.
Exactly.
But not on the football pitch.
Just on the lighter notes. Just on the lighter.
So we are doing it in January. So to fulfill the obligation that we, the contract that we have with the Senegalese government, and it's going to be spectacular. We're starting with a business summit, which is going to happen on on Friday, and the business summit is going to be about how to teach people how to finance. Being creative is great, but you also have to have how to monetize that creativity is very important. And we find that a lot of people in the music sector, a lot of especially young people coming through, are not, they need to be pointed in the right direction, how to best utilize that talent. So we're going to be having conference, business summit, as we call it, to discuss, to finance the creative space. We're going to be talking about publishing, distribution, royalty, and plenty more. And also touring Africa. It's an area that it's not organized on this continent. You find that in Europe and America, even in the Far East, a lot of musicians, a big part of their yearly income is from tours and concerts globally. We have the numbers here in Africa. We need to create a system whereby our African musicians get to enjoy it. So we have so many wonderful cities that are open, that are ready to accommodate those kind of tours with right numbers. And then we're also going to have a workshop with YouTube, one of our partners, to show people how to use YouTube, how to maximize it. I have a YouTube channel, but I know that I could do a lot better.
You're making dollars from the channel.
I don't want the taxman to come after me, but it's doing okay. But for the musician, it's a powerful tool for those in the music industry. Yeah. So we want to show them how best to do that. So we are ready for everybody coming through. So on Friday, the morning of the Friday the 13th, we're going to have the business summit. That same evening, we're going to have what we call the AFRIMA Music Village, which is a concert. And we're going to have artists from all over Africa, some from diaspora coming through as well. But the big one is on Sunday the 15th, which is the award itself. That's when we're going to have performances. It's going to go out live to the whole of the world. And we're going to have at least between 30 to 35 artists performing over a 4-hour spectacular. Wow. So it's going to be amazing. And Nigeria is fully involved. Yeah. But it's not a Nigerian award. We have to say that because, you know, when we go places, we dominate. We take over.
Yeah.
Our music is so strong. But we make sure that the rest of Africa, who are doing great things, whether it's Amapiano, from the north, from the east, south, and west, they are well represented. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. I know Steve is attending. Did I just throw you under the bus?
Oh,
but you know,
sending me.
Yeah.
Are you sending him there?
I'm asking.
All expense paid.
Should I take that to the bank?
Yes, do that.
Okay.
Well, you know, the concert you talked about on
Right.
Sunday, happening on Sunday. Who are some of the big names that are coming in?
We have a lot of A-listers from different countries. Some names are, I can't let the cat out of the bag yet. But we're going to have A-listers from all regions. We don't get to hear a lot of, you know, Nigeria. When you go around Nigeria, you get to hear mainly South African music.
Yeah.
But we don't get to hear music from the Francophone region. We don't get to hear music from North Africa because of the language barrier. We're the same with music from the Lusophone countries, the Portuguese language barrier. So it's going to be exciting. There are a lot of superstars, big names, you know.
So when you say you don't want to let
we can say people
cat
like
out of the bag, why is that? I mean, the Grammys, they published performers weeks before.
Well, we want to keep it as a surprise for everybody to come.
Really?
But we have some big names that are going to be there, guaranteed, from all over the regions. I don't want to say yet, but they are going to be there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you say that this is the Teranga edition, so I assume, of course, that it has to do with the fact that Senegal was at the World Cup. You know, Teranga being the Teranga Lions, right?
Yes.
The name of their football team. Okay, but my question is, this is the first time that Afrima will be going to a Francophone country.
Yeah.
I know that in 2018, Afrima was in Ghana.
Right.
You know, every other one, you know, was held in Nigeria. Is this about making Afrima global, the same way that Hedis, for example, you know, took the Hedis for the first time to Atlanta last year. AMA Awards has done South Africa, has done a few other countries. Is this about internationalizing a continental brand that is Nigeria-based, or is it about the fact that Afrima has grown to a level where the money from Nigeria is no longer sufficient to host it?
Okay, I want to say from the get-go, Afrima was always Pan-African.
That's right.
We were never about, you know, we've been accused of being a Nigerian award because unfortunately, due to certain circumstances, it's been held in Nigeria more often than other countries.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the Francophone countries were beginning to complain, you know, that we were not spreading the award around. But because it's such a huge undertaking, the logistics involved, the cost of, because we have a policy. We take care of every nominee and their manager. So if you're nominated this year, we must bring you in if you want to come, pay for your flight, your hotel, and your feeding for the 3-4 days that you're at the particular host city. And you can imagine the cost of that. So we know that it's a massive undertaking. Right. So yes, we've had challenges over the years in terms of getting corporate, you know, not just corporate Nigeria, but corporations that are transcontinental, brands that are working in different territories around the continent. But they're coming on board more and more. We've got some great partnerships with African Union, I mentioned. We have some great partnerships with Afri-Exim Bank. They're coming on board. We also have PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, who are our partners. They make sure that everything's above board.
The adjudication.
Everything, the voting system, everything's in place. We don't get to know who the winners are up until 4 p.m. on the day of the awards. So everything is transparent. And after the awards, the voting numbers are released. So people know that this is what happened with the votes. We also have, I mentioned, partnerships with DSTV MultiChoice, with YouTube as well, and with Trace Music Africa, Trace TV, and Trace Muziki. So we are fully ready. But obviously, we know that corporate Africa can do more. But we are making sure that the award gets a Pan-African stamp. So that we know it belongs to Africa. It's not owned by Nigeria. Yes, we are Nigerians who run it, but the fact is that we're going to make sure that the next one might be in a Francophone country again, then we might take it east, might take it south, but we're not coming back to Nigeria for a few more years.
You're not?
We're not, no.
Why is that?
Because we want Africa to feel it. You know, we want Africa to feel it. And we also want to say to corporate in Africa, come on board. This is our own. You know, the Grammys started somewhere.
Absolutely.
You know, the American Music Awards started somewhere. The Country Music Awards started somewhere. So, and not just the corporate, but also the African artists. And I'm glad to see that they've embraced it. They're coming on board, you know. And it's not about just the joy of being nominated, knowing that within a 12-month window that your peers think that you've done a great job. Your body of work for that 12 months has been recognized, and we want to celebrate you, and we want you to come. So that's what we're doing. So we're making sure that we're embracing the entire continent, and so far, it's working very well.
All right. Earlier, you mentioned that, you know, one of the programs you guys are doing at the Afrima was the workshop with, you know, organizers and all whatnot within the music industry. Now, your name was mentioned amongst the managers or the organizers of that Lagos concert, Lagos Love Damini concert, where Burna Boy, you know, came under fire because he showed up late, and you know he obviously talked about the complexity in our infrastructure. He blamed the main organizers, which is Wonder X, talking about the fact that their audio or their system was not ready. Now, this is a huge conversation because we know that this is not the first time we're seeing this type of situation with artists having to perform, you know, either with mediocre sound or, you know, or whatnot. What can be done? And can you explain your involvement? I know that you said that you booked Burna Boy and you were not part of it, but tell us more.
Yeah, okay. I actually released a statement earlier. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I mean, now you put me on the spotlight. I have to address the issue. I was contacted by the organizers of the concert to help them get certain artists. Over the last 12, not beyond 12 months, but like, I can give you an example. For the last 12 months, I've probably booked about 50 different artists for shows around Africa. And in some of those concerts, I haven't physically been there, you know, but I work with the promoters in different African countries and regions, and they deliver the shows according to whatever the rider of the artist says, technical rider, hospitality rider, whatever it is. So with the case of this particular Lagos Love Damini concert, I was asked to, you know, Burna was one of the artists that I booked for this particular show. I wasn't involved in the planning organization. My job was basically to liaise with Burna Boy's management team to make sure that everything that they wanted, that they needed to be done, was delivered in terms of logistics. Because you're talking about moving like almost 30 people from the UK, or from the UK through Ghana and so on, because he had a show in Ghana prior to that. So you're talking about flights, you're talking about hotel accommodation, talking about visas. Then I handed over everything to the organizers and said, okay, listen, this is Burna's people. These are people that are handling logistics for him, this so-and-so. These are the people. And I also gave my input into the kind of vendors that should be used for the technical side. Because there's different, like with Afrima now, Afrima, we have so many components. But with a concert, even without the television aspect of it, there's so many components that you have to factor in. And you have to be on top of them. You cannot run it just as an island or everything. So you have to have able lieutenants who you can delegate and pay to handle it. So you can forget about that and focus on the bigger picture. So I wasn't there that night at the concert. So I don't know what transpired. But because Burna and I go back a long way, I mean, when I say a long way, before he even became a big superstar. And he felt that he wouldn't have done the show if it wasn't for me coming to him and saying, I've got this show. See, what we're trying to do is to create a new way of Nigerians to enjoy music. The festival, big festivals, we don't have enough of them. Outdoors, when the weather is nice and dry, you can have 50,000 people in one venue and everything goes nicely. They've been doing it in Ghana with Afro Nation, Afrochella, even the Black Star Line Festival that took place, I think, on Friday. And so we need to have more of that. So when I was approached, I said, this is a great idea. And Burner is the kind of guy that can get the numbers. There were 27,000 people there that night. 27,000.
Up to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I read somewhere 30,000.
it was huge. And Burner came, his performance was incredible. I mean, that one, you can't even argue about that. You got to give him that.
Except for the things that he said, and then...
Well, you see, we got to understand that these are young men and women.
I understand. I mean, my son was there. He had fun, you know.
Okay.
These are, there's some things that I would say if I was born at 30. Some things I'll say when I was 30, I wouldn't say now. There's a kind of swagger, the kind of attitude that you have when you're a certain age.
But that's not my issue really, because you could even hear some people in the background say, we are sorry.
So
I want to talk about the lateness and that idea
he
explained it, didn't he?
I'm the wrong person.
It is happening.
Now,
I mean, you have connection with Wonder X.
What happened with, was there any delays with the equipment? I don't know. What I suspect was maybe a combination of two things. I don't know, I cannot tell you what time Burner came to the show. Only the organizer can tell you, because they probably have the security cameras that can tell you what time he came for the show. But I'm saying is that sometimes events get delayed due to technical difficulty.
That's what he said.
So
that's what he said, actually.
So now, I'm not the right person to comment on that, because I was not there. But what I'm saying is that, in my experience, there are certain things technical issues can happen, but it can also be maybe the artist didn't come on time, as the case may be. Maybe it's a combination of both. So at some point in time, Burner, maybe you will have to say, okay, he says he came on time.
Artists should do better next time, really.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's something that we can improve on. But it's not at the end of the world. We know a lot of people were not happy because of the lateness, waiting for so long, and so some people had issues getting into the venue and getting out of the venue. So these are things that will get improved on in time. We are looking at corporate Nigeria. Okay, how many venues are there in Lagos, apart from churches, that can comfortably take 10,000 people for a concert?
This is the conversation.
So it's very hard.
Okay.
So I've been to so many meetings with corporations. Said, look, put your company name and brand a venue. Your company will mention in every event, oh, so-and-so is playing at X venue. So-and-so is playing at so-and-so venue. So you get a free advert for it. You can pay, and over the years, it happens in America. Every center in America is sponsored by a corporation, a brand. So why don't we have that here? And we have companies who can afford to build these places.
Okay, Olisa, that leads me to the next question, but of course, moving back to the Afrima, holding in Dakar. The main event on the 15th?
15th, yeah, the award night.
The award night will happen at the 15,000 capacity Dakar Arena.
Yeah.
And I understand that there are only 2 of such in the whole of Africa.
Yeah.
So a Senegal could have a Dakar Arena where you could, and it's indoor, have massive concert, have all sorts of a thing, But if you're not like holding a concert at the Eco Hotel in Lagos or at the Eco Atlantic where the Bonner thing, happened, you're not likely going to have a fantastic show, at least in Lagos and in most parts of Nigeria. Why? How can we be behind Senegal? Where we are as the leaders when it comes to entertainment.
We're behind Senegal, we're behind Ghana. In 2018, you mentioned 2018 Afrima, we held it in Ghana.
Yes.
We had the Afrima Music Village, the concert, the outdoor concert, at the Black Star Square. We had over 70,000 people there that night. It was amazing, and everything went like clockwork. So now, fast forward, how can we do that? Where is there TBS? Can we do it? Where is the venue for us to do that here in Nigeria, in Lagos even? So we have to look at, we need to get the infrastructure It's the same with our, in all aspects of the music industry, creative industry. We don't have the infrastructure to generate the income. Promoters are struggling in Nigeria, music promoters, because they go to venues that are exorbitantly expensive to rent. By the time you put together your package, you're not going to make money from the venue. You know, you're not going to make money from the event because you're paying the artists, your lineup of artists, X amount. You're paying the venue X amount. You haven't paid for your promotion. You haven't paid for your security. You haven't paid for the production of the event. You have to get your stage, sound, lights, everything together. You have to get security. It's a huge, huge undertaking. So we need to get corporate Nigeria. There are individuals who can do this thing. They can do this thing. And I know. But I mean, I don't want to go after corporate Nigeria because I mean they love to have their end of the year parties. Well, because December they invite artists to come and perform, maybe 5 or 6 artists, but that's not enough. You see, yes, you're helping those guys, but there's a bigger challenge. There's a bigger picture we need to look at. You know, people, some friends of mine said, "Oh, 2022 was a great year for music industry." I said, "Yeah, but relatively." They were like, "What do you mean relative?" I said, because it was a great year for some people, but on the whole, have we moved forward? The optics are great. Our music is everywhere. Afrobeat is everywhere. Then Amapiano is here. It's great. Our music stars are performing. Madison Square Gardens, O2, Wembley Arenas, Wembley Stadium, this one. But let's look at the industry. You have a company like Universal Music that's worth $43 billion. You have a company like Spotify that's worth about $25 billion. How many companies do we have that are worth 1% of that?
No, but what I'm trying to say, Olisa, is that when those in authority, show a side that encourages, the sort of promotion that we're talking about, things can change. I saw the clip about Afrima, the Teranga edition, the executive producer of Afrima, Mike Dada, and the president of Senegal, who's the chair of African Union, isn't it? Yeah. For this year, promoting the fact that this will happen in their country. Dakar Arena happened because there's a government that believes in it. Yeah. So is this about the fact that here, except you have a few governors who really are into the arts, you are not likely going to be able to pull them in? Thankfully, I mean, one of the presidential candidates of the key political parties is a patron of Afrima. I don't want to mention, exactly. Maybe things can begin to change when you have people who, in authorities, but who see the need for the promotion, in the creative economy.
Definitely. I think it's a two-way thing. It involves the public sector and the private sector. Both have to get involved. I have to commend Lagos State Governor. He has done, and he's encouraging the creative industry a lot. And I've heard that the plans are fruitful for Lagos to do more. Other states are doing things as well. But to me, it's too random. It's not organized. There's no flow to it. You don't just wake up in the middle of December and say, "Oh, we're going to do something for this one." No.
And this is what happens in Nigeria, isn't that? You wake up in December and say, "We want to organize a concert," as opposed to it being a year-long thing. Is that correct?
In some cases.
Everybody's targeting December.
In some cases, yeah. But I mean, December to me, I would like to have activities going on all year round, every quarter. We have October. October is our independence month.
Right.
There's nothing goes on in October. I've never understood why a country can completely ignore its independence month and not do things. 1 or 2 people do have events there, but mainly it's ignored. So we need to say, okay, corporate Nigeria and the public sector, let's get together. Let's put the infrastructure in place. I was at Canex in November last year, and I spoke about the music. I was on a panel speaking
in Côte d'Ivoire,
for Afri-Exim Bank, and I spoke about the fact that we need to look at the value chain of the industry, how we can strengthen them so people can benefit from them.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the individuals. It has to be, what is the value chain of the music industry? From the area where you have the production, the singer, rapper, producer, creating the music, you now get to the promotion, the marketing, distribution, you now get to the streaming platforms, you now get to the venues where the shows are performed. Where are those things here. Because that is how the musician or the music industry generates income.
Right.
We need to strengthen those value chains to make sure that they're in place. So that when a Burna Boy releases an album in 2023, he knows that he's going to have that album distributed, promoted, marketed, he's going to have it streaming, and he's going to have venues to tour and to perform at in Nigeria, in Africa. Before the pandemic, I had a conversation with Burna Boy's management. We were discussing a national tour of Nigeria, and it was stadiums we're talking about, because if not stadiums, there was nowhere else to put them. 12 different cities, different stadiums. Those are things we need to look at. I remember one of the biggest groups in Kenya, Sauti Sol. They went on a tour of like 8 cities around Kenya, and it was hugely successful. We don't have artists going on a national tour. What we have is random things, and it's not working. So I mean, like I said, going back to what you said about the concert, my participation was I brokered the artist, and I advised. I helped to give the concert the name. I helped to sell a few tickets, and I also helped to play some of the promotional materials on radio and television. That was as far as I was never involved in production, not for one day, not for 1 minute. I wasn't there on the night of the show. So, but I think that we need to give our celebrities a bit of a break. I know Burna was under a lot of pressure. Some of it might be self-induced, but under a lot of pressure. But these are young guys.
You know that
maybe he felt that I shouldn't take the blame myself.
Yeah.
I should, I did a show. It wasn't just me. There were promoters there.
Right.
They too, dropped the ball in certain places.
Yeah.
That's as far as he's concerned.
I have seen Burna Boy walk out on a show. It was an Access Bank concert. I think that was about 2 years ago. And again, he mentioned the complexity in our infrastructure. He talked about the audio. I'm not trying to, say that what he did was right or not, but that is key, because I know I don't go for concerts, especially in Nigeria, because of the sound. I cannot enjoy music if it doesn't sound right. And so this is one of the issues that, I'd like for you to, address within your music industry. This is how people can really enjoy concerts, going to a concert and enjoying the sound.
We have some of the best equipment.
Because music is what we're there for.
It's when you're dealing with technical, instruments, sometimes things fail. It happens. Power surge, for instance, it could happen. It happens. Some things blow. But I can assure you that Nigeria has some of the best equipment available around the world.
Right.
Actually here.
Okay.
As far as stage, sound, lights, we have the best.
Okay.
So that's not a problem. Okay. But sometimes things do happen. And people have been electrocuted, on stage.
Okay.
So it's never, no one plans to start a show late. Nobody wants to start a show late. Nobody plans to keep a crowd from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Because it's not fair. But I know it happens in time. Things might happen that might delay, But one day maybe we'll find out what exactly happened that night.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, I've made it clear as to what role I played.
Right.
I've made it clear. I mean, Burna knew he could mention my name because I'm big enough to handle it. I called a straight bullet because I was the one that brought the show to him.
Okay.
You collected.
And I collected a straight bullet, But, it's one of those things.
Okay.
It happens.
Right.
But we're still friends. We're still family.
We're talking about touring Nigeria and all that, the musical arts. Something that came to my mind was Wizkid. I don't know if you recall. I believe it was even just last month. He said something about giving Lagosians free concerts. I mean, how do you think that would affect him? Or would it affect him in any way?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah?
I think it's fantastic. If you can do that, why not?
Forever. But how would he make money?
Well, I mean, if the corporate want to get behind it and pay for it,
so you're
why
saying
not?
ticket sales are not even enough for him to, he wouldn't lose much money on ticket sales?
To book Wizkid now, I don't want to even think how much.
You can just give us a little base.
How much Wizkid, to book Wizkid, Burna, Davido, you're talking, a few zeros.
Okay.
And, you as a promoter will struggle to make that money back. You need to have. That's why you need to have a venue
Right.
that has minimum of 20,000 capacity, so that you can make the money back. Because otherwise, you're going to charge the exorbitant ticket prices. You don't want to charge people too much money for the show. You know, you want to say, okay, what can people really afford? You know, and you've noticed what happened in December last year. This December.
Yeah.
A lot of the shows that were around were not full because there were too many of the same artists going to the same shows. So people are looking at their pocket like thinking, okay, you know what? I can't be at 5 events this December. I can do 2 or 3. Let me just pick the 2 or 3 I want to go to and spend my money there. So it wasn't like a jamboree like before, and of course the economy is not in a good shape.
Okay.
You know,
We have to run, but
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oji, you started.
You satisfied?
You're going to Akon's country, Senegal.
Yeah.
I know that Akon hosted Afrima when Lagos State government hosted the event. You know, in 2017, Akon was the host. Will he be involved this time around? You are going to his country.
Yes. You see, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to say anything, because
Steve wants to know.
we are in talks with Akon. We hope that he'll be part of it.
I know that Willow Lugumba is coming.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that what's that big man, the Senegalese legendary
Youssou
Youssou will be giving, you know.
See, you're making me now give things away.
I mean, it's exciting
Yeah.
to know.
It's
I mean, I
absolutely.
think that's the whole. I mean, how do you get people to come to the concert? What do you promote?
No, we
What do you say?
As the days come through, we're going to be giving a little
But
bit.
that's such short notice. I mean, to fly to Senegal this week, next weekend is a lot of money.
The Nigerian
I'd
artists
like to
because
know
of the.
if-
No, see, because-
I'd like to know if Youssou is performing or whoever it is that I love.
Youssou
and
will be
I'd
there.
like to get
I
a
think-
ticket.
I think it's
and-
taking a
Baba
lifetime
Mal,
achievement award.
yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
Akon, yeah. P Squared.
Squared.
Confirmed.
Tiwa Savage.
Confirmed.
Right.
Okay, just to give you a few,
Yeah.
you know, and then we're not just facing Nigeria. We have so many A-listers.
Yeah.
Some of the names might not be household names here in Nigeria, but they're superstars, you know, from their regions.
I like this, Ojoro. So you answered Steve's question,
No.
and you did
You
not
see-
answer my
You see,
question.
what did I say? I asked, was Oji satisfied? So I can leave here knowing that I satisfied Oji on a Sunday.
Okay, no problem. You tried.
All right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, thank
and
you.
you know,
Thank
wish
you
you
very
luck.
Thank you.
Next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we, you know, and
Wish you a great show.
everyone can watch it. Please watch it. It's going to be on DSTV, different channels. It's going to be on all over the place. We're going to stream it live as well. So it's actually, the show is actually built for the TV audience.
All right.
Even the crowd in the arena will enjoy it, but I know that they're going to enjoy it more with the TV audience.
Olisa
All right.
Adibua, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. You have a great Sunday.